everyone. I'm Dennis Dove, host of Thankful Heritage Museum podcast. We appreciate you for tuning in and supporting us. I'm here with F. Lee Howell Sr. He is the founder and CEO of the Thankful Heritage Museum, which is located in Kernersville, North Carolina. During this podcast, F. Lee will share great knowledge and insight about the origin and history of various African American artistic, cultural, and historical materials from his museum collection. Basically, after you have an opportunity to see the podcast, we just ask you to continue to discuss the information that he will share with you, and just kind of keep the conversation going in your households with your friends and family. So, F. Lee,
Yes.
welcome, and welcome to our viewers once again. And so, why don't you tell us a little bit about your company?
Yes, Thankful Heritage Museum started in 1993, and we are a 501c3, and it's an opportunity for the seniors to take a trip down memory lane, as well as for the youth to see many of the things that their grandparents, parents, and teachers have taught them about. And so it's just a great opportunity to see a lot of things that you've seen in books and magazines, on televisions, but it's also an opportunity to appreciate some of the things that you may have around your house.
Exactly. You know, Black history is so wonderful to learn about. It's a part of us and is made who we are. And, so just being able to share, things over time and that have been collected, by our people as well as other people, because they may have an interest in it too. But like I've always said, each material or artistic, cultural piece of artifacts that you have a story.
Yes.
And so that's one of the purpose of the shows, is to be able to put the story behind the materials that you've collected over your lifetime and still continue to collect, and be able to share that, with our viewing audience. So I will turn it over to you, and I think you have a couple items that you're going to share with me as well as our audience today, and to put some history with it and some insight with it. So I will turn it over to you, F. Lee, and I think you've got the first item you wanted to talk about.
Yes.
Right.
The first item today is black dolls. There was a time in history that you were not able to find black dolls for Christmas gifts or birthday gifts. And if you did, they would be so derogatory that you would not want to give those to your children. But today, there are many. In the Thankful Heritage doll collection, we have over 200 black dolls, and most of them have the boxes. And it's real important to keep the box. Even if you take the box and put it in the attic or put it in the basement, keep the box, because it makes the whole doll collecting more valuable with time.
Can you talk about this particular time period and kind of what this represents? This doll?
Yes, this is Hattie McDaniels, and she was the first African American to win an Academy Award for her role as Mammy in Gone with the Wind. And so this is a porcelain doll from the Franklin Mint collection, and she is a beautiful doll, and it is a wonderful doll that anybody and everybody who collects dolls would love to have in their collection.
Now, can you talk about Hattie McDaniel, correct?
Yes.
And can you talk about her character in Gone with the Wind?
Yes.
What it represented?
Yes, her character represented a happy Mammy. And she would later go on and play some of the Auntie Mama type, but it was like her family would be somewhere else, but her whole ideal was to be there with this white family, taking care of their kids, raising their kids, making sure the mother's dressed properly and serving food for the family. And part of it was stereotypical of the time, as well as Gone with the Wind. Some channels banned it now. And for many years, especially when I was growing up, everybody said, oh, this is classic, come and see this movie. But now that we are trying to do things more politically correct, then the role that she had to play, is not looked upon as one of the great roles, but it was only one of the only roles that African Americans could get. And she said herself that she would rather play a part and make hundreds of dollars playing a part than to make like $14 a day working for someone in their house, as many black women did, just so their family could have food. And so this was one of the first blacks that you would see in 1939, Gone with the Wind was there. And it was one of the first blacks who starred in the movies, and blacks could see a role.
And if I'm not mistaken, she won an Academy Award.
Yes, she did won the
role.
Best supporting actor for Gone with the Wind.
Because I remember, just reading that, and I was like, okay, that came back in my memory. So just wanted to share that as you may do your research. And definitely, if you have interest about some other dials in his collection, definitely hit him up on the website or give him a call, and you can see those additional artifacts.
Oh, yes.
All right. Okay.
So
wonderful. Thank you for sharing that. That's a beautiful dial during that time period with, such a lot of history associated with it.
Oh, yes.
So we're going to transition to the next item that you have, and I think it is comic books. One of my favorites, I was sharing with you earlier that when I was growing up, I used to read comic books, Marvel comic books.
Oh, yes.
And some of, the superheroes and things of that nature, but this is even a little bit deeper.
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
So just wanted to ask you about what they are.
Yes, in 1967, Golden Legacy started a line of comic books because there was Superman and there was Captain America, a lot of different comic books. But comic books back during this time was something that most of the kids would take and they would read. But up until this part, there was no comic books of African Americans. And so it was a great thing that Golden Legacy did because they took comic books like this one here, Crispus Attucks. And he was the first person killed in the American Revolutionary War. And he was a black man, and it gives his history. And also the life of Benjamin Banneker. And he was a black man who also charted the Washington, D.C. area. And he also invented the first clock in America, as well as the almanac. He had his own almanac, outstanding man. Frederick Douglass, who has a great history as an orator and abolitionist. And there's just a lot of history, and it's just wonderful that someone took the time to go into a comic book setting and have this as something that a child could read. And if there were words he could not understand, then his parents and brothers and sisters could help them with it. And it's just a great way of learning.
Okay.
And then Joseph Kalik and the Amistad. And so this is one of the great American history cases that went to the Supreme Court. And the second president, John Quincy Adams, he fought for the former slaves to be able to be free and go back to Africa. And it did go into the Supreme Court. And it's a great part of history that we don't hear about a lot. And there was a movie of it, that came out.
That came out during that time. Well, not during the time frame, but afterwards. To denote the history.
Right.
Okay.
Right. And then Harriet Tubman was also one, in which now there is a movie about Harriet Tubman, but long before the movies came, in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, these were some of the comic books.
Because I was going to ask you, I know you've got several copies here, but I see different prices on it, but what was kind of the price to purchase these during the time frame when they were very popular? I see that it has it on there, but I just wanted to share with the viewing audience.
Yeah, most of these, when they sold for $1 in the 70s, and some of them sold for a little bit cheaper than that in the 60 series. And so then, now most of them would be selling for about $25 or more if you were able to buy them.
Buy them online. And I guess during that time frame in the 70s or the late 60s or during that time period, where could you purchase a comic book of this nature.
Yeah, and you would have to get it through Ebony Magazine, and some of the educational institutions would have them out at the colleges, and so it was something that mostly the black advertisements were advertised through different forms, the churches, and it was not a wide thing that you was going to get at a Sears catalog.
Sears catalog, okay.
Reward.
Yeah, because I was just just kind of interested in some of the detail to show the audience as far as obviously when you get into reading the story and the information about what they're trying to convey, you can see that it looks like a regular comic book that you would buy at that time frame. Detailing the story of whatever is interest of the author at that time, which of course this is one that F. Lee had talked about with Harriet Tubman, but you can see it lays out a story and has excellent graphics. So we have been doing things like this, as part of our culture for a long time. And so it actually highlights, some of our history. And as you can see, it has great detail and the conversations that, took place from the author's viewpoint at that time frame, discussing the story of Harriet Tubman. So all of these comic books during that time frame that F. Lee had talked about, has the same thing. So as I would reiterate, if you have an interest in finding out more information about these comics or even sources, if you would want to purchase them on your own, you could call F. Lee and he could tell you how to go about doing that.
Yes.
Is that correct?
That is correct.
All right.
That's correct. Yes.
So, we're just transitioning here. So I know we've got a couple items that you wanted to cover, and I think you've got another one here. So let's see what that is for the viewing audience. Okay,
and also there's so many different things we know about Monopoly and a lot of the other board games, but this is one of the sports board games that featured blacks, and it was the Globetrotters. And so with the Globetrotters, it had the ball, and then you had Curly and Meadowlark and all the Globetrotters, which the history behind them, tells that whenever the NBA started, a lot of people did not come to the NBA because mostly it was an all-white league. And then they would get the Globetrotters to come out and play a game before them, and people would come out to see the Globetrotters. And then whenever the game started, a lot of people would leave before it was integrated. So the Globetrotters were world-renowned, and they would travel, and people would come out and see them and their skills. And later on, the Globetrotters would play the champions of the NBA, and they usually beat them. They would usually beat them. I mean, I can remember as a little boy and, a kid, and my parents taking me to see a Harlem Globetrotter game, or just, the game that they had. They usually would win, but they would show everything that they could do as far as on the basketball court with amazing shots and the dribbling. Curly Neal, I can remember him growing up, Meadowlark Lemon, and then entertaining the audience and, just making you laugh. So those are definitely good memories. I never realized that they had their own game. Yes.
And this is something that is a first for me. And I just think it's wonderful to be able to share this kind of history with our viewing audience. And you can see that black folks are everywhere, even in games.
Oh, yes. Yes, this was a 1973 game that came out, and Curly Neal, he was from Greensboro, and he was just a wonderful college athlete that went to a HBCU.
Okay.
And then he went on to play, but many NBA players, including Wilt Chamberlain, played for the Globetrotters for a while.
Fascinating. And I didn't know that. Wonderful. Wow. See, that's what I'm saying. Yes. Watching our show, you can pick up these facts about black culture, and there's a lot of things that you can find out. This is, I guess, do you know how much this cost during that time frame?
And I don't know how much the original cost was. But now the cost run you somewhere around $150 or $200 for this particular one.
And this is something that potentially could find on like an eBay or through a collector like yourself.
Right, right. More of an eBay, and there are very few of them that are around. And so, if you get a chance, to pick up an original board game, then it is something that is nice, and just make sure it's detailed once you get it.
And just kind of looking at it and hearing what you had said, just thinking about the company that produced this really took a chance during that time frame, because I'm sure it was not the norm to have a board game with an African American sports team.
Yes.
Even in itself, that's taking a chance, because you really don't see that as much now. Even with NBA teams, they probably have more figurines and things of that nature. But the company, that took this chance, they were, seeing in the future, and that's excellent. It's all about taking chances and giving people opportunities.
Right.
And that's what you're looking for. And then when you give them that opportunity, you can see what comes as an outcome. And something as famous as the Harlem Globetrotters, which people know around the world.
Yes.
And if you haven't had a chance to see the Harlem Globetrotters, when they come to your city or near your city, you need to check it out.
Oh yes.
So I would just share that.
Yeah, YouTube, go YouTube them and see that they were they had all different kinds of skills, and they were funny, and it was an opportunity for us to see people who were doing positive things.
Okay. Now let me ask you this question: who was your favorite Harlem Globetrotter?
Meadowlark Lemon was the one that I liked the best, but because Curly Neal was from Greensboro, I really love Curly, so I'd have to go with Curly.
So just a little bit of a bias there.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, I was gonna say Curly Neal. That's what I remember. Is all his dribbling skills and everything, and it was just dynamic, man. That shows you the talent that these players have had over the years. And if you, I'm sure if you have an opportunity to be a Harlem Globetrotter, that's a memory of a lifetime, and it's a memory of a lifetime to go see them. So just a shout out to the Harlem Globetrotters. Right. And once again to F. Lee, if you want to find out more information about the board game or other artifacts and things that he has in his museum, hit him up on his website, and we're going to give you that information at the end of the podcast. All right, we appreciate that. So I think we're going to transition to another item here for our viewing audience to see what you have, and you can put some insight and history on it. So the next one is
cereal boxes. And the reason that we're doing cereal boxes is because many years ago, and we have over 200 cereal boxes with different blacks that are on the covers. Many years ago, the first covers were not very nice. They were just cartoons of Africans with bones in the nose and different things like that. And but as time went on, they brought better cartoons out with Jackie Robinson and even Tiger Woods and some of the famous bands and singers and all. But I really wanted to introduce the audience to the cereal boxes, because even today, the two that you'll see today, both of these are Serena Williams, and they are available right now on the grocery store, at your grocery stores. And so these two show a beautiful African-American woman who is at the top of her game and has been there for many years. And so without Althea Gibson was there, they did not have the boxes, although she is on the Wheaties box.
Oh, she is on the Wheaties box. Yes. Okay, all right.
But I wanted to bring this to mind because unlike the doll or the board game that may cost a lot of money, these here, are just right now, they're like $4.99 or $5. And in years to come, they will continue to grow in value.
Okay.
So if you get a chance to get 1, 2, or 3 of these boxes, then, it'd be nice to put them up and, and use them for to show the youth, that you can succeed and do many things, but they're also a collectible that will go up with money in time.
And that's, I could just remember if you made it to the Wheaties box, you were doing very good. Typically, as a professional athlete, I think LeBron James, if I'm not mistaken, recently, was on the Wheaties for the first time after winning the NBA championship this year. So, that's incredible. And it just shows that folks at the top of their game, in the different sports or whatever activities they're doing in life, make it to the Wheaties box to acknowledge their professionalism and that they're at the top of their game or their profession. And, just realizing how easy it is to, just save that box, of cereal, which will cost you $5 or $6. And once you finish and then, take the plastic liner out, you can easily fold it over, and it's a keepsake. And as you can see, you won't find, black folks on Wheaties box very often,
Right.
unless they're really, really good at what they do. And as you can see, Serena is very, very good at what she does, being a phenomenal professional tennis player, and Wheaties being able to acknowledge that. And of course, General Mills is the company that produces the cereal as well as the boxes, and it acknowledges athletes at the top of their game and very, very good at what they do, acknowledging those efforts by promoting them on their cereal box. So I think that's an excellent piece of information.
Oh, yes, and what better way to start the morning off is to have your breakfast and to look over there and see somebody that looks like you.
Right, it's like looking in the mirror, especially, for young black females. And I've got 4 girls, 3 of them are adults, but, my youngest is 12, Kendall. And, just to see that as, like you say, you're eating cereal, just the everyday things that we do, and be able to recognize that there's other people in the world that may do things that you aspire to, or just do things that you enjoy.
Right.
And that gives you better self-esteem, and then you can connect with it. I think those are some of the values that come from that type of activity.
Right.
That's
true.
Okay.
That is so true.
All right. Well, we appreciate that Wheaties box, and I think as we progress, I think you've got another one for us.
Oh, yes. Well, our last one today is one that we would like to, we always try to finish the podcast with something different and something that hopefully, you will really remember the show by that last one. And so this is something out of our archives, and it is called the Slave Hunting Dog Collar.
Okay. Probably tilted a little bit there.
Okay.
All right.
And what it is that it's a collar that goes around the dog's neck, and it has spikes sticking out of it. And the slaves, whenever they would escape, the males were so strong that they could take and choke a dog. But with a collar around his neck, then if the slave tried to choke him, then it would cut his hands, and his hands would be all bloody, and then he wouldn't be able to choke the dog, and then another dog could attack him, or then, the slave catchers could come and get him. So this is a part. A lot of times we see shackles, we see branding irons and whipping irons, and but this is one of the things that they used to have, that they hooked up to the dog and made sure that if he caught the slave, then the slave would really have to do some harm to him other than to be able to choke him.
So the Slave Hunting Dog's Collar. Wow, that's the first I've ever seen or heard of that. Wow, it's just very impactful to see this and be able to hold it. And just what it could do, to a human being, is just wow. Kind of a loss for words, but just being able to share this kind of information, during that time period of what happened, is something that you need to know about.
Right.
And just how folks were treated, and it was just just devastating.
Yes, as we cover in our podcast, as we cover things like slave deeds and things like newspapers where slaves are being sold, and when we show things like people being given passes to go from plantation to plantation, then there'll be some things that's going to be really heartfelt, and we want the audience to know that we will be bringing you some things that you won't see in other places unless it's in a museum, and that's one of the great things about the Thankful Heritage Museum podcast.
Very impactful to your soul, really, because when you start thinking about what our forefathers and foremothers went through to where we are now today, maybe not dealing with this, physically, but, dealing with it from the mental aspects that lingered over the years has a detrimental effect. So one thing that I always say is that it's best to learn about your history, and it makes you more educated, and you understand that everything at one time had a purpose, but some things don't need to be repeated.
Yes.
And so that's why we wanted to be able to share these type of things with you. So at least you know and have that history, and it may make you intrigued to find out more information just from what we're sharing on your own, which is, I think, the greatest thing. Yes. And you can learn and grow from there. So we're basically finished with our podcast, basically for the Thanksgiving holiday time frame. That's just what we wanted to share with you guys today. And we wanted to thank you for joining us and supporting us in this effort to share information about African American artifacts, collectible items, and just the wonderful history that and insight that FLE brings to it. And just ask you to support us as we continue, and as well as to support his museum. And we wanted to share that we're going to have another podcast, a live podcast, coming up on Saturday, December 12th at 12 noon. And if you need any information or services from Thankful Heritage Museum, is to reach out to FLE at www.thankfulheritagemuseum.org for more information. If you need any photo, video, web design services, go to my website, www.dinkdigitalproductions.com, for more information. And basically, this podcast was brought to you by Dink Digital Productions and the Thankful Heritage Museum, a combined partnership effort. And we ask that you just please share this podcast with others. Once you see it on Facebook, just share it with others and help pass on the word. Until next time, God bless, take care, and be thankful for your heritage.